Hey there. Welcome to the Pine Island Experience podcast. I'm Joanna Anderson with my husband, Trygve. Each of our episodes will be conversations with fellow Pine Islanders.
The goal of our podcast is to share with you our experiences, what we have found to be fun, and what makes the Pine Island experience so unique.
The technology is getting so crazy as far as cars go. When I started locksmithing 40 years ago, I could take a key blank for a car and a locksmith file, it's called a Pippin file, and make a key to your car by impressioning, not knowing, And now you need a programmer. The new keys are cut down the middle. I have that machine. So new GMs, new Fords, Lexus, Toyota, I can do all those things. The only thing I don't do is the high-end cars, the Mercedes, the BMWs, which I don't have a big call for anyhow. But for the most part, I can do any vehicle.
You were listening to Tommy Kramer, the owner of Kramer's Cutting Edge, talking about the crazy technology involved in working with key fobs. Tommy relocated his shop from the center to 7573 Raymary Street in Bokeelia. Not only is he a new Pine Island location, he is offering new services. Tommy possesses an extensive amount of information and experience. He will gladly share his knowledge and tips with you. And now, here's Tommy.
Well, Tommy, welcome back.
Good morning.
Tommy Kramer from Kramer's Cutting Edge. We're so happy you came back to visit us again. Been looking forward to this interview with you. How have you been?
Been okay.
Yeah.
Little struggles here and there with the hurricane and all that mess, but...
Well, let's talk about the move, because you did move from the center to Bokeelia. Can you tell us a little bit about that and when that happened and when you opened and the new place?
Yeah, we moved out in early January, and I was going back and forth for the whole month trying to find a space, that was reasonable, convenient. And almost went to Doug Taylor Road, but that fell through. And then one of the people at the Elks, who's a good friend of mine, she told me about it. She lives at Tropical Waters Park. And she said, there's a strip plaza with a for rent sign on it. Mm-hmm. And I went there. And I got a great deal there. I mean, I negotiated, and my wife always says, just give them what they want. I said, that's not business. You gotta negotiate. You just can't say, okay. But no, I have a really good deal. It's a little further north than I would like my business to be. I'd much rather be at the center. But it's going good. It's a nice space.
It's only 4 miles, right, from the center?
It's about 6.
6 miles
from the center.
Yeah.
But people in St. James, sometimes, they complain a little bit because they got to go so much further. But it is what it is, and I can only... do what I can do.
People in Bokeelia are probably happy.
Oh,
you're
please.
Right there.
They come in, they go, I live right there. There is a space actually where on Pine Island was where the old ammo place used to be. Mm-hmm. That's for rent. The gentleman doesn't want to rent to me because I do sharpening and it produces dust.
Oh, well, they have their rules. But you went from what? 200, I think 300 square foot to 900 square foot?
When I left next to the barber shop, it was about under 300 square feet. I outgrew that, went to the center. That was a great space. I would love to still be in that space, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But things are the way they are. And so now, where I'm at now, I think I got about 800 to 900 square. It's laid out differently.
Yeah.
So if you go into the shop, it's almost like a single wide mobile home type of shape. Yeah, I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. And we went in and we January or February, we made it our colors, our brand. Well, our brand.
Mm-hmm.
Black, red, and gray, and it's a nice space. People come in and say all the time.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a nice space.
Yep, and it's in a shopping center, right?
It's right
So
in the
that's
middle.
perfect parking. Parking has to be better.
Parking's much better.
Yeah. And then how did you and Suzanne renovate it or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We were there night after night after night or day after day painting. I had some friends from the Elks help me with my counters, my work tables.
Nice.
And they came in and, installed them for us. She puts a little feminine touch into the shop.
Of course.
If you come in or when you come in, you'll see, because we open up right around Valentine's Day.
Oh.
So, but it's a workspace. It's not an executive office. So it's not going to look.
Right.
I work.
Yeah.
So
that was around Valentine's Day that you had the grand opening?
it was
About then?
early February. Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, I was thinking it'd take a lot longer to get it.
We were there day and night for at least a week and a half. We were there till 11, 12 at night. I'm telling my wife, Suzanne, I'm just going, babe, we got to go. We got to go. I'm sitting around like this in
You're
my
painting
sleep.
blindfold.
And, it's it.
So if people are looking at it, are there landmarks or other things that they can look for to know that they're getting close to you?
Well, the problem with my space is that if you're heading north on Stringfellow toward, the end of Bokeelia, you don't physically see the strip plaza. Now, if you're coming south, it's right there. So we're right, if you're heading north, we're right before Tropical Waters Mobile Home Park.
Okay.
In September Estates.
Mm-hmm.
And behind us is a couple mobile home parks. So what I tell people when they call me, because my numbers never changed, I describe it as when you pass the fire station on the left, you'll see two mobile home parks with little white fences. After that, make a left turn. That's Raymary Street.
Yeah, that's sometimes too, I think, if you're not quite as familiar, say, with one end of the island, is you're probably less than a stone's throw off Stringfellow, right? But with the way the building faces whatnot, you get a street address that can be a little bit deceiving. So basically, it's just up Stringfellow and left into the lot almost. And then how did your security officer, Miss Kitty, do with the change of location? Because I think you had to make accommodations after you closed the center, right?
Right.
And then you had to get remodeled and get her set up as well.
Yeah, I had, fortunately, Becky that works at the hardware store, she took Miss Kitty in and took care of her for a month. And she had cats. I guess she breeds cats. I'm not 100% sure. So. But anyways, Miss Kitty survived and she came back and she's Miss Kitty.
Did she like the new space?
She
The
loves
size?
the space.
Yeah.
She has 2 beds and a throne.
2 beds and
And
a
a
throne.
throne.
Oh my goodness. I saw her at the counter.
Yeah.
Your pictures are hysterical on Facebook with Miss Kitty.
Yeah.
She just, and with her on your chest, that was hysterical too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got one picture I actually had remade to like an 8x10. And so if or when she does cross that Rainbow Bridge, I'm going to put that picture. I think I posted it on Facebook. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a beautiful picture. She was like standing in front of me, just looking up at me.
Oh.
And it's more of, it's like her head, I don't know. It's a beautiful picture. And even my wife, when she saw it, she goes, "What, is she dead?" And I was like, "No, she's not dead yet, but this is just a beautiful picture of her."
Oh, nice. Get that framed and hang it. Yeah.
Now, with the larger shop, have you been able to expand services? And if so, what are those?
I'm doing watch battery replacement. I'm doing the car keys, the fobs, remotes. I've expanded to doing, not 100% sure if I told you last time, the expensive convex hair cutting shears, like the $400 or $500 pair of shears. There's a different sharpening process. If you happen to take those shears to somebody that doesn't know that, they're going to wreck your shears. Mm-hmm. And I've had people already come to me and I've had to repair that, which is expensive because it's time consuming. So We do the clipper blades like dog groomers use, barbers use. And that's, basically just the sharpening and like key cutting. And
You're doing more locksmith services
I do
now, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to expand that too. The problem is I'm a one-man show. So if I don't do any emergency work, I do it by appointment. And I have good, references on Google, Yelp, all that. Here on the island, thank goodness. It's hard for me because if I do have to go somewhere, then I have to close the shop. And the people get upset because I close the shop. So everybody now, they call and say, I want to do this, whatever the case is, sharpening, car key, fob, whatever. I say, just call me before you come. We can plan on this time or this date, but call me because I never know when I have to be.
Like an emergency.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you expanded, or at least you now list and do food processor blades. So were we an inspiration for that? Because you saved us.
Did it work?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Excuse me. Well, I'm glad it was at least sharp.
It was 30 years old, wasn't our food
Yeah,
processor?
something like that.
Probably a good, every bit of that, yeah.
When you said that, we both lit up and said, oh, you could sharpen our food processor blade? And you
Yeah.
did.
And it worked. That's the important part.
So now you're specializing in that.
Yeah, I do a couple of restaurants, food processors. I don't do the slicer blades, but I could if I wanted to, but I don't have a big call for it. So the equipment is to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do is get our website up, and I want to do mail order shear sharpening, because not everybody does what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have to be careful who you let your shears or scissors. So we're going to do a mail order business, and then I'll be there 24/7 sharpening shears.
We've seen people that cut hair, how important their shears are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see that happening.
I went into Captain Khan's, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I had ordered something out because it was closer than going back to the center. And the girl behind the counter, I overheard her saying something to some gentleman about, this haircut and this and that. I said, are you a hairstylist? And she says, yeah. I said, well, I do sharpening. And she says, you could do these shears? I said, yeah, no problem. So I gave her my card. I'm waiting on her. She says, I can't find anybody to do these.
Well, what about your other services? We're skipping over those, and those are, like all the knives. You took all our knives last time and sharpened them all, because that drives me crazy. And dull knife, and they're beautiful the way you sharpen them.
Well, thank you.
And I came over with my garden tools,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you also do education while you're sharpening. And you said,
I try to.
I remember you said, now with these, don't cut anything larger than this. Right. And I said, well, I have been. Which might have been why you had to work on them.
Yeah, I all my customers, if you see the reviews online and everything, I try to be personable. I just don't take whatever it is and take it and take your money and give, I try to be personable. I try to educate. There was a guy who came in with a big knife about this long, but it was convex. It was only sharpened on one side. Because normally on a knife, there's a beveled edge. Mm-hmm. I'm boring people again. There's a beveled edge. It's sharp on both. And he had a leather sheath. And I told him, I said, every time you put that knife into that leather sheath, you're dulling your blade. Oh. He says, I never thought about that. And he says, I don't do it very often, but I do. And I said, because he couldn't figure out why he couldn't keep an edge on his knife. And people come in everything about sharpening. I like to communicate. I try to be personable. Again, I'm very shy.
Yeah.
But I try to make it, it's not just business. You go to Winn-Dixie, beep, 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 and they take your money and you go out. I try to make it a one-on-one thing. And a lot of the reviews that you could see online, that he's very personable, knowledgeable, but I'm blowing my own horn at this moment, but
That's why you're here. You have to tell people what you do.
So I don't think there's ever been anybody that came in my shop. I always say, how you doing this morning? How's life treating you? They say, how you doing? And I go, well, I woke up and saw my face in the mirror, so I guess I'm okay. I would go like that, but, I try to make jokes and puns and all that other stuff. But it's been a very receptive, two-way street with the customers. Every now and then in business, you're going to get the one customer that you just can't make happy no matter what. I tell people, if this key doesn't work and you come back, blah, blah, which is very rare, but it's happened a couple times. Tropical Waters Park, their mailbox clusters are all Taiwanese mailbox locks. So I have the key blank, but I cut it and it goes in it, but it won't turn. So I actually leave my shop, go over and make the key work for them at no charge. And I've done it other places too, because I have to back up what I do. And that's my philosophy.
I've heard the same thing could be happened on some of the sliding door locks, that those aren't standard. And we hadn't met you yet. And I think the guy said, well, I'll take a shot at it. I mean, I appreciated his honesty. He said, but it isn't just about like following the blank. It was like there's no standard blanks or something. And it had to be like cut, and then in terms of where you normally cut, and then like the length had to be adjusted, or there was something else to actually get it to go in as well as turn. And that it was, I don't know if it's Taiwanese or Chinese or something, but I don't know, I guess they just expect you to, buy whole new locks or something, but apparently those were not easy to replicate. So I'm not surprised you have to go to extra effort on those mailbox locks.
Yeah. I mean, I go over there, I could tell somebody how to do, but if I tell them how I do it, they're going to break the key off in the lock. So I just rather just drive over there and just make it work. And sliding glass door locks, for the most part, are very basic key blanks. I mean, again, I don't want to bore the audience. It's a Y11 blank. So it's lengthwise, whatever. It's not there's not a high tolerance in those types of locks. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the facade, is they're not much of a lock.
They're not secure.
Yeah. You mentioned storage. Are there other things that people are doing to try to protect knives that are actually dulling them? Like are the wooden blocks, for instance, are those okay? Or it almost sounds like anything that touches that blade that's not what you're intending to cut is probably going to dull it.
I always have customers come in and say, their knives don't stay sharp. So I always say it depends on what you're cutting, how you're using the knife, and what you're cutting on. The best surface to cut on is wood. Glass, plastic will not dull it instantly, but it won't last as long. And the other factor in it is how the knife is sharpened. So, there's people that do it on I don't know about now, but back in the day, they did the wheel, which I have one, but I don't use it. But my machine puts a 15-degree bevel once I'm done. It's a 3-step process. And once it's done, you can cut yourself and not feel it.
Yeah, it's so sharp.
So, and then hopefully when the season comes back, I'm going to buy another machine. This machine will make knives very sharp, but if I finish the knives on this machine with a 1,000 grit wheel, it will literally cut you and you will not know it cut you.
Oh.
It's just like the expensive hair cutting shears. The barber or the hair salon people that go like this, they hold the hair and they go like this. And I've had several people come back and say, look, I cut myself 3 times yesterday because it's
so sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. You told me to be careful.
Yes.
And I had those
all
knives.
my customers to be careful.
Yeah, because they're sharp.
I even ask them, I even go to the point to ask them, are you the only person using knives? Is it your wife, your girlfriend, your kids, whatever? Tell them to be careful.
Yeah.
So
We only use wood to chop on.
Yeah. What?
And I don't know, I think ours are stored on a magnetic strip rather. It seemed like every time, any kind of a holder that we've ever purchased, I know it appears to be protecting, but it's always seemed like protection at the cost of something else, which tends to be the sharpness.
Right. Exactly. Because you're rubbing against a surface, in, out,
Well, that stainless blade that we have hanging in the kitchen is just perfect. You know where every knife is.
Yeah. No, that's restaurants have that.
Yeah.
They put their knives up and everything.
And that magnet is strong, so it's not coming off there.
Exactly.
Yeah, on its own.
Slide it off.
Yeah. It's nice. Key fobs, last time you were here, you had a lot of stories about that where people would mail away for them. And one person came in and they didn't have a battery in it, and that's what was wrong. But then you learned how to reprogram them, which doesn't sound easy. You're still doing a lot of fobs?
That's the majority of my business is offering car keys, fobs, remotes at like 50% or less than the car dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And I do tell people, they come in, they go, I got these online, how much to program? And I'll tell them. And I say, I can't guarantee that they're going to program because you bought them online. It's not my product that I'm selling you. My product, I can guarantee. And I had a guy come in, I don't know, 4 months ago, and he had 2 Dodge fobs. And only one programmed, the other one didn't. But unfortunately, for that person, he was like, well, what? He was asking me why I couldn't program it. I said, I can't tell you that, The one worked, one didn't. I said, send that one back, and I'll program it for you. No charge, whatever. But it's the technology is getting so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
As far as cars go. When I started locksmithing 40 years ago, I could take a key blank for a car and a locksmith file, it's called a Pippin file, and make a key to your car by impressioning. Not knowing, And now you need a programmer. The new keys are cut down the middle. I have that machine. So new GMs, new Fords, Lexus, Toyota, I can do all those things. The only thing I don't do is the high-end cars, the Mercedes, the BMWs, which I don't have a big call for anyhow.
Right.
But for the most part, I can do any vehicle. And I have just plain keys. Some people don't want the buttons. I have plain keys that I can still program that will work, but don't have the buttons on it. I can order those remote head keys or the fobs or whatever, no problem. But I stock the keys. I don't stock the fobs and the remotes.
Oh, yeah. That's too expensive, isn't it? Yeah.
But I get them from the East Coast. I usually here in a day. So it's not like a big...
It's kind of odd because I think that the fob was seen as convenience and the integration of technology like locking or honking or helping people even find the car. I know sometimes, you can press on to find where you park.
I've been there.
But if you think about it, the old car key, other than the fact that it was easily replicated and they need to, strengthen that from a security point of view, in a way, they've made it more complicated if that's a lot of your business where the fobs are going bad, or they're dying, or whatever the case might be. So that's kind of interesting that we've kind of advanced in certain ways, like you walk away and the car locks for you, kind of stuff like that. So you don't have to remember to lock it. On the downside is, well, we've had a lot of battery problems, but never a fob go bad, I guess.
Right. And then we had a problem with the car itself, which was causing the fob not to work. But I mean, it's so complicated, like you said, with the computers. And
if the ECU, which is the electronic control unit, if there's a problem, like every car after 1996 has a little OBD2 port that I plug into or your mechanic plugs into. So everything goes through that. So when I plug in, it could read the VIN number. It tells me the year, make, and model. It tells you everything. But if somebody does some alteration to their cars, changes their stereo, let's say like they used to do in the past, or, anything that will interfere with that communication and then people come in and I say, my unit will not communicate with your car. There's a reason. I can't tell you what the reason is. Maybe go see a mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, they did something years ago, and I don't really follow it. Just because there's more about technology, and I do read about that. I think car radio theft was getting to an all-time high, and I think to your point, a lot of them were those taking out the standard stock ones. If you go back to the day when we had 5 buttons,
yeah,
and they were putting in these advanced stereo systems, and the cars are getting broken into. So to stop all that, as the manufacturers made more of a stereo for the car,
right.
It is tied into, there's like an ID in there. And if the car can't recognize that ID, the car won't start to stop the theft kind of thing. So it probably complicates it all the way out to the fob.
Yeah. All this technology that's now, even against 20 years ago when, I first started programming keys, it was meant to stop car theft. But the thieves, just like counterfeiters, are always ahead of the technology.
Sure.
And they have a unit. It's all frequencies, megahertz. I'm not an electronic genius, so I'm a dumb locksmith. But there's different frequencies and stuff. And they have a unit that they can go up to your car, do this, and your car will go beep beep, and your car will unlock.
Oh my!
Then they could get in your car and take your car. So in the early stages, GM had VATS, Vehicle Anti-Theft System. Ford had PATS, same thing. But if somebody wanted your car and they don't have the key, you have the key or whatever. Well, I'm talking about Miami now. They'll put a gun to your head and you're going to get out of the car and you're going to let them take your car.
Of course.
So and then the other thing is the dealers and the manufacturers don't want us to be able to do it. They want the people to go back to the dealer. Mm-hmm. And if you speak to older people, no gender disrespect, women, those are the two groups that the dealers, they lie to them and say, you can't get this key made other than here because if you do, it's going to void the warranty on the car, which is absolutely not true. So there's a myth that they push, and unfortunately, I've had people tell me the dealer charged them $900 for a key, where the key from me would have cost them under $300. Right. So I just want everybody to know the dealer is not the only place you could go to get a car key for your car or a fob or remote, whatever. But they take advantage of that.
Right, that service.
That group.
Yeah.
You probably already know this given your trade, but and my folks aren't no longer with us, so I can tell the story. So they were out of town doing something, and they were up in years, but still out and around. And they walk up to a car, and they unlock it, and they get in, and they're looking around, and they go, there's certain things that you take with you, and is always in your car, and they're looking around, and they're going, well, where's our koozie? Where's our cup holder? Where all of a sudden they realize they're in the completely wrong car. So when they went back to the dealership, when they eventually, long story short, they found their car and got home. And I don't remember the number at that time. You might know it, but like every 1,000 cars, the same key was used because the technology wasn't super sophisticated. There was some kind of a repetitive nature. But what they did is that lock might go to Miami, another one go to Dallas, another one go to San Diego to spread it all out. But now with people moving all over the place, coincidentally, wherever they ended up, their car had been purchased some other place, but it got together to the point where a car that worked off the same lock was in the same parking lot. Every
manufacturer has a code series is what it's called.
Okay.
So let's say Ford right now, that Ford 8-cut's been out since 1996. It goes from 1 to 1701. That's it. Chrysler, same thing. They have a certain, and then GM, back in the day, GM keys wore a lot. So you could literally, if your key happened to be very close, and you put it in and it didn't turn, but then you go like this, it would turn. Mm. I've walked into a white van with my Ford key on the East Coast, And I get in, I'm going, like you just said,
It's not your car.
it's not my car, not my van. And I'm like, I'm going to get beat up because I just got inside, or, you know.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that.
Yeah. So it's just all technology. I pay to have a subscription to be able to program. It's not cheap. The machine that cuts down the middle is not cheap. You don't have to go off the island to get the service.
Plus, you have all this experience now. You've been working on that a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one thing about other services.
Sure.
Yes.
Because it just clicked in
Good.
my skull. I have a key system that's a restricted key system, meaning I did the Moose Lodge. Nobody can get that key duplicated. When I install the cylinders or the locks, the keys are restricted. Nobody has my keyway. I think the next person that has my keyway is above Tampa. So nobody here is going to go to Tampa to get a key made. So, but I have signature cards. So if you have a business, mostly for businesses and stuff like commercial use, and you don't want people to be able to duplicate your keys, you can give them the key, and you can have, if you give the employee the key, you can have them sign a letter that upon leaving or termination or whatever, you must return the key, or we're going to take money out of your last check to rekey the business again, which pretty much enables people to say, here's your key.
Right.
But it's a key restricted system, which is really important if you think about it to some degree. I mean, especially in business. I mean, I don't give anybody my key. I have the same restricted key, other than my wife. I'm just saying, I know that if I did give my key to somebody, they're not going to be able to go to the hardware store, Home Depot or Lowe's. They're not going to be able to get that key. They'll look at you and go,
It's restricted.
Right.
Yeah.
They won't even, so I'd like anybody who's listening that has commercial property or restaurants or businesses, if they want to prevent that problem, they will never have to rekey their business again if they get the restricted key system.
Oh, cool.
I mean, unless, somebody doesn't, but then.
And then you can help them with that, set that up.
Exactly.
Great.
Well, we're in season, so you probably have a set of hours right now. And then, so what are those? And then, when season comes back in, you'll probably adopt to the higher traffic. So what are they right now?
Well, right now, I'm doing Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 1. Then I decided to take Mondays off because I also cook breakfast at the V for the Elks and the V, and sometimes for the V. And so I kind of need like a day off.
Of course.
Instead of just a constant grind.
And then where do you post the hours? Is it on Facebook?
It's on Facebook. It should be on Google too. Google's a weird thing. I've changed my address 6 times and it's there and it's not there.
I've heard that about Google.
Yeah.
You're safe for putting on Facebook. That's what the whole island looks at as Facebook anyway.
Yeah, my wife cross-pose.
Well, we've heard different things between Apple Maps, Google Maps, and some of them are more responsive, but it seems like there's a lot more reviews going on Google recently than there were, say, a year to 2 years ago.
On Google, we have a 5-star reputation, but all of a sudden, you go on Google and look, like say, sharpeners near me. Now I don't come up. It'll show me on the island.
Oh.
It'll say A, and you can see and then you could, click A, but I was at the top, and because of my reputation again.
Yeah.
And but Yelp, 5-star, all the my Facebook page.
Yeah, your Facebook page has it.
Good reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never been a negative response so far. Thank you.
Now, I noticed with your hours too, you said people can still call you after
Absolutely.
hours. And that number is that 710-0600 number,
That's it.
239.
710-0600.
Yeah, so that's nice to know.
Yeah, because
So you have emergency services that you're offering.
some,
Some.
not a lot.
Okay.
I'm kind of, I do like locksmithing by appointment for the most part. I've done a couple of car lockouts. I give it to the other person here on the island. We have a good working relationship. He doesn't do car keys. He sends me car keys.
Right.
I don't do car lockouts. So
Now, is there anything we haven't mentioned that you wanted to tell the folks about?
No, I'm trying to think. We do the watch battery replacement. It's been fairly successful. You don't have to go off the island for that. You don't have to go to a jewelry store or, wherever you do that. And the other thing I'm trying to do is get FedEx and UPS in my shop.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Oh, would that be nice for the island?
Yeah. So, but both of them are telling me it's not needed here, which I can't believe because everybody I've spoke to said,
They want it.
like you just responded.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. That would be great.
But, I'm not.
I hope you get it.
I would love to. I could hire people.
And then the one thing I wanted to mention for sure is I look at your Facebook page and follow it, and it's fabulous. You have public service announcements for other businesses on the island. That's
Absolutely.
what it is. And people should follow you on Facebook just because they'll see all the other things that are going on with the other businesses. So that's very nice of you to do that.
Yeah, when we go to
Suzanne.
Yes. When we go to a restaurant, the first thing my wife does is check in.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times, and then when we get our food, can't touch the food till we take pictures.
She's got you trained.
But no, we try to give back to the community. We try to help the fellow businesses. We're all small business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any business around here, maybe some of the restaurants make $1 million a year or, whatever, gross. But we're all in this together. So it doesn't bode well if you don't help the other businesses. And hopefully in return, they will, do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
that's my suggestion. Follow Tommy on Facebook, Kramer's Cutting Edge on Facebook, and you'll see all kinds of stuff.
We put animal pictures.
Miss Kitty, yeah.
Miss Kitty.
Thank you so much.
No,
it was
thank
so
you
good
for
to
having
see you.
me.
Thank you for sharpening all my tools and garden equipment. I really appreciate it. And the blade for the food processor.
I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me again. Hopefully I didn't repeat myself too much.
You didn't.
But thank you.
You sound great.
You're
Thanks,
the best.
Tommy. Say hi to Suzanne.
I will. Thanks, guys.
We hope you enjoyed our Pine Island Experience podcast. If you have any ideas for us, people to interview, or any comments, please feel free to email them to us at pineislandexperience@gmail.com. That's pineislandexperience, all one word, @gmail.com. Don't forget to like us, and you may subscribe to this podcast using all the major catchers like Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thanks again for listening, and remember, island life is a constant vacation. We'll see you on the next podcast.